Okay, now that we know how to create a view, I'm going to show you how to really exploit them in a database and just how useful they can be. You can remember that in our schema for the database that a student has one major, 0 or 1 majors, and a major has many students. So that's a classic one-to-many, but the information about a student and what major they're taking is scattered across 2 different tables. So we can write a view like this that selects from student and joins in major, so we can pick up the name of the major that the student is majoring in. And we can also write this concatenation to combine the 2 parts of the student's name into one field. And I've got, a basic select statement that joins a table together, and let's run it and see what we get. So we get, Sanders and email and this kind of stuff, people that don't have major and all. There's nothing new in this thing. But this is a useful select statement because it joins 2 tables, it concatenates the name, and you wouldn't want to have to write this kind of stuff over and over again. So a classic example of using a view is to simply take this useful select statement and slap a create or replace view student flattened as over top of this select statement. Now I use the word flattened because that's kind of a common one in databases, and it means that we've taken 2 tables where the information was broken up and flattened it into one view. So let's go ahead and run this thing. Again, not much happens. Come over here and refresh, and there's our student flattened database, or view, excuse me, with the name and email and their major name and all that kind of stuff comes out. I might want to change this and say something, order by name, so that we get it sorted, and let's put the semicolon down there. Let's run it again. And now I've just recreated the view in the database because this thing says create or replace. If it's already there, it will just whack the existing one and put this one in its place. So that's very handy. Now, let's go about using the view. Okay, now I'm going to add another view on top of this one. So I just got the code separately. I'm just going to paste it in. And now what we've got here is create a view to list students without a scholarship by stacking it on top of students flattened. This should actually say flattened here because that's what I actually use. So let's fix the comment. There we go. Okay, students without a scholarship, create or replace that. Select name, email, major from student flattened. So now we're building this new view on top of the existing view. We're picking out a couple fields we want to display, and we're setting where scholarship equals 0. So let's go ahead and run this thing, and all I'm going to do is select this code so I don't run the stuff up above, and use that feature of running just the selected code. I've created my view. Let's refresh over here. Here's students without a scholarship. It just produces a few names. And let's write a little bit of SQL here. I'll paste it in so you can see it. That actually uses this view. So select name and email. Look, I'm leaving the major out of students without a scholarship. So let's run that. And now we get a list of all the students who have no scholarship. And it's exploiting this view I wrote up here that had the join and the concat in it. So I can reuse that join and concat without having to write it ever again. So it's not unusual in the database to see this kind of a view here, which preps a lot of information like the concat and does the join to get data that's going to be widely used in reports and lists and that sort of thing. Let's take another example and have a look at it. Here is create a view. Let me skip down here at the bottom. Create a view to students majoring in computer science. So here we're selecting on the major ID, we're wearing on the major ID, and we're selecting just a few of the columns out of here. Let's run this thing. We created the view, students majoring in computer science, and now let's go ahead and use the view. So run that, and poof, we get a list of students who are majoring in computer science. Already alphabetized, the names combined, and so on. So we just keep reusing the view in all kinds of different things. Here's an example. I'll paste in both the view and the code that runs it. Let's take a look at this one. Here we have a view, create a view listing students without a major by stacking it on top of student flatten. So we pick out the name, the date of birth, the sex, and so on, and use the view. So let's run these two statements. And poof, we get a list of students who have no major where it's set to null. If I actually want to prove that that worked that way, I can just make this add major ID to my selects here on this statement, run it again by itself. Whoops, and I got an error. Oh, I had to include major ID up here in the view itself. So let's do this. It was missing. I asked for major ID, but it wasn't in the view. So let's run these two together. And I get all nulls in this column because these are students without majors. So let's clean that up. You didn't really need that. I just did it for demonstration purposes. Run the whole thing. And in one crack, I just recreated all those views over here and put them in. So you can see how in a database that's being widely used, the number of views gets pretty big. And when you initially create a database, you know, you'll have so many tables in it. And over time, you'll add new tables now and then. But one of the things that's true about a system that's being widely used is you add views all the time because people want to take the data that's in the database and get a different view of the data. So that's the instruction on views.